I'm not your gossip girl, I'm the headline. Truth with a curve, baby, redefine. Welcome to the thirst trap. All the truth looks good in a tight wrap. We talk love, power, soul, and sin. Turn the world on, let the light in. Yeah, the thirst trap news. You'll drink it up, it's the real you. In between first rows, where every headline's a revelation. You'll drink it up.
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be back with you guys. We are also streaming on Rumble right now, so that's pretty cool. I only have like 24 followers on Rumble, so we shall see. Okay. Ooh, this is a major delay. You guys give me 1 second. And then, okay. So, hey, what's up, Florida backwater fishing? I got to figure out how long my delay is here. So I'm going to do a little test with you guys. Backwater, if you're there listening still, can you type the number 3 in the chat? I want to see how long it takes you to hear this. Because I got to get a feel for the pace. Because this one seemed like it's delayed a little longer than normal. What's up, Mike? What's up, Murdaugh? What's up, Evan? Chevy? Rich? 28 seconds. All right, so we're on almost a 30-second delay. Okay, good to know. All righty. Okay, so as y'all know, I have for my subscriber show, I started reviewing the Candace Owens episodes, her podcast where she is investigating the Charlie Kirk assassination. I tell you, the skeptics by the end of that show they understood what was going on at the end of that. So I figured I'm going to keep it going for the rest of my followers because this is getting wild. So y'all know she put out, I guess, a public message saying that she had a hit on her. And I want to show you what she posted today. Real quick, if you want to switch over, go to the other slide. This is what she posted today. After she let everyone know about the hit, okay, so obviously the White House and everything got involved. She said, our show will be off air this week. As an update, both the White House and our counterterrorism agencies have confirmed receipt of what I reported publicly. Emmanuel Macron attempted to organize my assassination per a close source to the first couple. Also, I will again state that the French Legionnaires are involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, but they did not act alone. If you've been following what she's been talking about, it's Israel, Egypt, France, and sadly, the U.S. For all of you who doubted my claims, you can now look at the President of the United States and our intelligence communities to issue a statement to confirm whether I am telling the truth. So now she cannot be on air this week because now the White House is getting involved because that was very true. Y'all give me just 1 second. All right, so let's look and see who all's here. Kojak's here. Jack's here. Dad Tank's here. Airbnb, what's up? Haven't seen you in a minute. Paul, Lisa, welcome. Derek, Blue Clive, J98. Oh my gosh, lots of the old gang is in here. Iron Pile, Anthony, lots of new faces. Mike says, hi, baby. Hey. Hi, Evan. And my gosh, let's see. Okay. So, it is getting crazy with Candace, man. Like, everybody said she was crazy. Well, no, not everybody. The Zionists were all saying she was crazy. And I knew she wasn't, because through her evolution of trying to figure this out, I've been watching her literally wake up to the cabal, and she is piecing it together perfectly. And it's kind of crazy that Charlie Kirk's death is the thing that's going to give everyone the evidence, the solid evidence we need to take the cabal down, which is like wild. That's what martyrs do. They're divine. It's divine, it's divinely planned and necessary in the grand scheme of things. So, welcome all ye seekers of truth, knowledge and whispers behind the veil. You've found your way, all my newbies, to Thirst Trap News, where politics flirts with psychology and science dances with spirituality. And the patriots come here thirsty for real talk. Mwah. I'm your witching hour guide, here to peel back the layers of an illusion, to crack open the dark books of what they don't want you to know, and to light candles on the hidden corners of our world. Tonight we wander down a crooked path paved with promises, deceptions, and half-truths. We illuminate a story that's been buried beneath polished headlines and smokescreen narratives. A story whose echoes ripple far beyond what meets the eye. If you're like me, you don't settle for easy answers. You don't sip the Kool-Aid. You don't stand by while shadows gather behind closed doors. You crave the clarity. You demand integrity. Your hunger for a sixth sense turned to the heartbeat of truth. In a world where the mainstream whispers comfort, we scream discomfort. Where they offer illusion, we offer clarity. Where they offer distractions, we dig for substance. So tonight, brace yourself, because we're about to dissect lies, extract motives, and expose what's really at play, with our minds sharpened like atames and our souls shielded by ancient fires. We will ask the questions they fear. We will shine a lantern into the dark corners. We will refuse to be passive. We will refuse to be silent. And by the end of this episode, you will not only know what happened, you will understand why it matters. You will see the strings behind the puppet show, and you may find yourself unsettled. Because truth often burns like a candle flame, bright, beautiful, and unforgiving. So if you're ready to challenge the narrative, to demand accountability, to stand with us in this sacred coven of awareness, sip that tea, light that incense, and lean in close, baby. This is Thirst Trap News, where we don't just report, we reveal. So let's begin. How'd you like my monologue, guys? I'm trying something new. So yes, on my Exit Ohio says, can I get a whoop whoop? Thank you. Thank you, Johnny Dago. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's my practice run for, my own show on Newsmax. I don't know. I'm just daydreaming here, but yeah. So my shows where I'm going to cover one video, you're going to have the joy of a monologue, or I might do a monologue every time. So let's see. Oh my gosh, we have a lot of people. All right, let's get into this Candace Owens video. Now, this is in the middle of the investigation. Please go check out the video that was streamed by her from 10 days ago. Now we're going to get into this one. This video covers the planes that were all in the air when Charlie got shot all around that area. All of the, just what was going on. And it's so revealing. And I hope I can attempt to get through this quickly so I can get through possibly maybe 1.5, maybe 2. Okay. So let's go on over to YouTube. The U schmoob. All right. Get your popcorn, get your blankies, get your puppy, your cat, your lover, or a pillow if you're lonely. And let's buckle up. Here we go.
All right, you guys. So we received a couple of weeks ago a very thorough tip regarding Charlie's assassination and the Egyptian planes. Now, what is even more compelling about this tip is that this individual who works with or for government sent it before I had figured out that the Egyptian planes were tracking Erica and Charlie. Now, the individual also focused on something that at first seems to me to be very micro to the situation, and now it seems quite macro.
Okay, hold on.
And
so for any of you who haven't, okay, if most of you have been following this on your own, please tell me in the chat so I don't like dumbsplain it for, you guys. If you want me to fill in the blanks, let me know that in the chat too and explain, because the first thing I was going to explain is there have been foreign planes tracking Charlie. Yeah, this gets bad, y'all. This is bad. His own people did this to him. Helped. Like I've been saying the whole time. Foreign countries did this to him, and they used the people closest to him to gain access to him. So, yeah.
Answer perhaps to the question, what was the Egyptian military plane, which left Provo on the morning of Charlie's assassination, doing in Delaware, actually? We should figure that out. Welcome back to Candace. There are so many elements of this story that as time goes on,
hey,
are
Mr.
clicking
Potts,
into place. Things that initially maybe we don't consider, that you go, oh, wait a second. Why didn't I consider that right off the jump, right? I was, of course, very surprised by the two Egyptian military aircraft that, in general, just why were they here? Why were they there at all? And not even for 1 second did I stop and think, is this even a routine flight path at all? Like, why would these jets, ostensibly filled with government-level Egyptians, right, particularly the yellow jet, tail number SUBTT, which kept overlaying, sometimes even for days, in Delaware, why would they do that? Why would that plane be doing that? Let's pull up that timeline again that I put together of you guys of the blue jet and the yellow jet. And we virtually in all of the stops, you can just scroll through this. Like, we kept noticing that,
okay,
that yellow
all
plane.
right, hold on. Candace. Okay, so all the yellow highlights is the yellow plane BTT. All right, and look at where it's going. Cairo to Paris to Wichita. Then Wilmington and on the 17th, and then leaves for Cairo. Okay, so Egypt is been brought into this whole thing when she discovered the planes. By the way, you guys, Rumble has way better quality than YouTube or Instagram, and there's a chat there. So if you guys want to watch on Rumble, it's so much better of a platform. I am also in the chat over there too. So, yes, I have ill26 is in the chat on Rumble, and I got 5 viewers on Rumble. Hey, Rumble viewers. You guys, I'm really chatty. I like engagement in the chat. So if you have questions, I wonder if I can dock them shorter. I can't make them shorter and stack this Rumble window and this Instagram window on top of each other like this. Okay, let me hit play on YouTube while you do that.
Going through Paris, it was going to Wichita, but very often it was stopping in Wilmington. Like, what goes on in Wilmington, Delaware, actually. If you fly private, even if you fly public, it's not exactly a hub. People aren't like, let me route through Wilmington to go overseas. It's not a thing. The person who emailed me claimed to be a solid source of what that flight was doing. And he claimed, or she claimed, that he or she was so solid that they challenged me to find other people in government, people that were working in federal agencies and people that work at the State Department, to confirm what he had said. And I did. People that I trusted. I went to, spoke with them, waited a while. That's why this email came in weeks ago, but we're just telling you about it now. And they confirmed that what this individual was saying was true. And that's why I am presenting it today, despite the fact that the person who sent this email was clear this information is quite dangerous.
Okay.
Now, to remind you guys so that you are understanding what we are working through here with a lot of information that is known to virtually none of us. On the morning of Charlie's assassination, the plane that had initially carried over the 12 or 14 quote unquote Egyptians 6 days earlier, that plane departed, the yellow plane departed on the morning at 7:14 a.m. local time from Provo, Utah. And it headed to Wilmington, Delaware. Okay, it arrived in Wilmington, Delaware at 11:51 a.m. Eastern. So that's at around 9:51 a.m. Utah time. Okay, Charlie's going to get shot at 12:23. This plane has landed into Wilmington at what would be 9:51 a.m. So about 2.5 hours before Charlie is shot. And then, for whatever reason, these Egyptians decided to stay in Wilmington, Delaware for a night until the following day. I don't know. Where did they sleep? Where did they go? Again, what goes on in Wilmington, Delaware? Because they departed September 11th at 7:56 a.m. That means that we can definitively rule out that this was just a fuel stop, right? Nobody's like, let me fuel up my private military jet.
So in the episode before this, Potts, Delaware is, do you know where Washington, D.C. is, our capital for the United States? Delaware is just northeast of DC-ish. We call it the DMV area. So you have Delaware, Massachusetts, Virginia. They're like a little clump. So that's where, very close to the capital. Now what I was going to say was what she covered in the episode before this is there's an airplane hangar right near the university. And this airplane hangar was bought by France, by the Macrons, I believe. And they say that it's just an airplane hangar where they just paint airplanes. Turns out that's not true. A plane in this hangar turned on and transponded information, didn't take off anywhere. So that's one part. And that occurred right before another plane took off right after Charlie got shot. So just a little bit of details to add into what she's saying.
And sleep on the plane. So there was something in Wilmington that held the interest of our Middle Eastern people that are here for some reason. Well, like I said, someone emailed us and we took our time vetting this tip because it seemed plausible, right? It seemed plausible to us that you guys are thinking maybe this was meant to distract us. We're going to run down this rabbit hole. And no, that's not the case. We vetted it across multiple government agencies and to really the highest levels of government. So this is legit. I've printed it out and I'm going to read around some parts, removing some parts to provide this individual, who, by the way, I have no idea who this is, but to give him and her even some more coverage. Even though they said that they were very thorough in making sure it wouldn't get back to them, but you never know. They're taking a tremendous risk. So I'm just going to read this to you guys. And I'm going to read it.
This
slow
was
for comprehension, because I
before-
had to read it slow myself.
Before she put out the bulletin that basically they were going to hit on her. I totally forgot to give you guys the view of YouTube.
For comprehension. It starts out with, Candace, I'm aware that you suspect the government and other entities are involved in the events leading up to and on September 10th. I am aware that you also tied the plane, SUBTT, yellow plane, to this, and that you are receiving tips. You might have been wondering why SUBTT made so many visits to Wilmington, Delaware, out of all places, and I can personally answer that. What I can say about myself is blank, blank, blank. I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to read that. Some people may tell you that SUBTT stopped at Wilmington because it was, quote unquote, just maintenance. That is not true. The information I am giving you will implicate the FBI and various other government agencies.
This gets crazy. Stay with me.
I'm passing this to you because you are honest enough to see this for what it is. You may put this in your notes and reveal this pattern publicly, but this, and then he talks about why this information is dangerous. So I'm going to skip and get to the information portion. The information portion reads this. As you know, on September 10th, an Egyptian government Dassault Falcon 7X, tail number SUBTT, came into Wilmington, Delaware. I tried to pull non-public movement data, and it came up empty. For me, this means that the arrival was processed under a diplomatic and dignitary category, which would not show up in the usual places. That in and of itself wouldn't be odd if we were talking about Andrews or Dulles airports. It's odd at Wilmington. You can't verify this next piece directly, but I can independently. I can confirm that blank uses vehicles which often leave and enter that airport when they do covert handoffs. Now, I have no affiliation with SUBTT, nor am I an operator anywhere near Egypt or its planes, but I do know that only federal vehicles are allowed access to private gates housing government planes. Because of this, I can guarantee you that the vehicles affiliated with this work.
She's about to lay out how this was an entire military operation. Almost everyone around Charlie was in the military, including the preacher, the doctor, surgeon that took him in, people on his security team, people that were at the campus, the planes. This Utah was crawling with military people during this. So keep watching. Ugh.
Space arrived and left inside the same window as SUBTT. Government vehicle watched. It's a government plane, not a ghost plane. Someone has to come out, and we all know they're not going to just call an Uber. Given that I know most of the locations at these, get to the information portion. For me, this means that the arrival was processed under a diplomatic and dignitary category.
There you
which
go.
would not show up in the usual places.
All right. So this person is somebody who works in an area where they literally witnessed all of this. So that's why she was afraid to say some of the things in the email, because she doesn't want this person's life to be in danger. But I tell you what, when you have somebody who's a warrior for the truth and you keep showing you're looking for the truth, someone on the inside will eventually grow a conscience and tell you everything, which is what just happened over the last 5 days, and which led to her finding out that there's a hit on her and Tucker Carlson. And so that's why the White House is now involved.
In of itself wouldn't be odd if we were talking about Andrews or Dulles airports. It's odd at Wilmington. You can't verify this next piece directly, but I can independently. I can confirm that blank uses vehicles which often leave and enter that airport.
Hey, Hector Marcia on Rumble. Welcome to Thirst Trap News. I'm Luna Lopez, your host. I'm on almost every day, and I have a subscriber only show that I do Sunday night at 10 o'clock on Instagram.
I have no affiliation with SUBTT, nor am I an operator anywhere near Egypt or its plains, but I do know that only federal vehicles are allowed access to private gates housing government planes. Because of this, I can guarantee you that the vehicles affiliated with this workspace arrived and left inside the same window as SUBTT.
There you go. So those planes came on track at the same time. For anybody who's just coming on, I am streaming on Rumble now, and the quality is so much better on Rumble. It's better than YouTube too. And I also have a chat in there as well. So I'm trying to convert all my Insta people over to Rumble and YouTube, but Rumble is like so far my favorite. It's in 4K.
Government vehicles
and you get the
either
wide
pick up,
shot,
monitor, or escort every government plane that lands there. So that's the standard. It's every single one. Feds don't just leave foreign government planes unwatched. It's a government plane, not a ghost plane. Someone has to come out, and we all know they're not going to just call an Uber. Given that I know most of the locations that these vehicles visit, I am entirely confident in stating that the plane and those vehicles are connected to 920 North King Street, which is at a place that is marketed also as 1 Rodney Square. Nearly every federal vehicle that visits the airport will pass through King Street at least once, because that is where the majority of the vehicles are ultimately stationed.
Okay, so she gave a list of rental cars, a 4Runner, a Camry, and a silver. I don't know what the other one was, but this is where they were tracked to.
We do this because it is discreet. The reason people don't know about this is because assets can be transferred to cars without diplomatic plates. You can't just do transfers with diplomatic plates out in the open, or it would immediately tie assets.
Right. So like in the movies, when you see like the important dignitary, they drive to an alleyway, they switch cars so no one can see. This is what they mean by asset transfer.
Assets to government. That's why the fleet is either federal, unmarked, or local. So when I say government vehicles, what I'm really saying is,
hey, Danny,
they most likely immediately
good point, Carl,
swapped the plates for local, but they still had federal clearance. I'm going to skip this because I think this could be... The whole idea is they get in, they have a meeting, they get out, the plates are then changed back, and they go back to a designated area. However, sometimes it is decided that they need to have a meeting in a more convenient spot, a meeting that's not in a car. That is what I am telling you happened with SUBTT. It obviously would be impossible for me to show you the evidence of these activities because I obviously can't do that. I obviously can't pull dash cam or cameras, but I am telling you that this is known among insiders. And if you want confirmation,
listen.
Ask Intel insiders of yours.
So he knows her insiders have the information. So he's basically telling her, you know who to go to, you know who to ask, they'll confirm, because this guy was there.
And they will confirm that that is exactly what happened. You may ask why this happened in the first place, and I'll give you my best information, and here's where it gets big. In June of 1997, the Department of Justice's own directory lists, quote, Wilmington Resident Office, 1 Rodney Square, Suite 404, 920 King Street, Wilmington,
there it is.
Delaware.
All right. This is a government building. You could see who's in charge of the office of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish offices. All right.
19801. That is your line to know that it is a federal resident office that is at that exact address. You can open it yourself in this link and look for a page titled 675.
A resident office.
We did that. We confirmed that. Wilmington Resident Office, Suite 404, 1 Rodney Square. And so we can confirm this is, like he says or she says, the Department of Justice's own directory list. Okay. Today, if you punch that address into public directories, you will find the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, at 920 North King Street. And at the same address, the United States Secret Service, 920 North King Street, Wilmington, Delaware, 19801. Both are live. Both are at Suite 404.
Rumble
Both
has
also
Trump
publish phone
emojis.
numbers. In the Secret Service case, the agency's own 2025 field office list still shows Wilmington, Delaware. That means the suites that the Department of Justice owned in the 90s never actually went away. This eventually evolved into a multi-agency space in a commercial building. The building looks like if you decided to cut the 33 Thomas Street building in half. Seriously, if you Google image 33 Thomas Street in New York City, that's the building that Snowden leaked. Find one that makes it look brown and then compare it to 920 North King Street in Wilmington. It looks exactly like a mini version of the thing. The only difference is that 920 North King has glass windows. Now, you saw people on X saying that SUBTT has an alibi.
Welcome non-existent and unleash
with a long-standing Falcon maintenance arrangement out of Wilmington that dates back to 1999. You remember that, guys? They told us, oh, they were just doing maintenance. This is maintenance here, maintenance there, scheduled maintenance. That's the part that really sent me because I know, that's the part that really set me off because I know that you are right about the plane. And I also know the truth about this plane. Yes, Wilmington used to have a Dassault Falcon authorized center, but it shut down around 2021. Then, and this is verifiable, in December of 2024, a French aircraft finishing company called Satys, Satys.
That's the painting company they claim that they're using as like the owner of the hangar.
Announced that it was taking over the shuttered Wilmington Airport hangar. And every Delaware outlet said the same thing. Satys will invest a little over $1 million. And get this. So you see that? We are pulling that up. We have confirmed that that is true. This is a French company that said they were going to take over this hangar in Wilmington.
Hey, Reality Pocket. Welcome on
Delaware
Rumble.
River and Bay Authority is the one that is making that deal. DRBA is a bi-state authority, except the key part is that it operates on federally regulated waterways. Its own January 2024 resolution says that it was, quote, acquiring the rights to a paint hangar currently part of a Dassault leasehold and authorizing the executive director and board chair to execute that lease with Satys. So that is a River Bay Authority, the DRBA, that is executing an aviation lease on a field that sits on a navigable corridor. That automatically puts it in the orbit of a federal system. The chain here that would report from the people who control the rivers would be DRBA to the Army Corps of Engineers, the Secretary of the Army and the Secretary of Defense to the President. So now you can say with complete honesty that the federal government was aware of and signed off on the plane and hangar situation. Now, I'm not claiming a direct line of authority for that. I'm saying that anyone who tells you that the influence is not there is either misinformed or lying. I'm also not saying that POTUS himself did this, but the government was undeniably involved with that hangar and the plane that you are eyeing. Not to mention, Representative McBride is the statewide rep for that place. Again, I'm not saying
Did y'all
that
hear
McBride
that?
has anything to do with this because I wouldn't know that, but it is noteworthy. What you can honestly say, though, is this. If SUBTT has been doing this run for decades, it could not have been using a 2024 French finishing lease as its maintenance justification. In fact, your own timeline shows how they traveled to France before the deal was even made. It proves that the maintenance story is nothing but a cover. That hangar is undeniably either another site in and of itself or it is a front for something else.
What was going on before this Charlie Kirk assassination was that she was uncovering a lot of involvement with MK Ultra and the Macrones. And there's an Israel. I'm just going to let her keep laying it out for you guys.
Back to 920 North King Street. When you Google FBI Wilmington Resident Agency, you should check the address in the Google info panel. You will likely get 920 North King Street with the label Federal Bureau of Investigation instead of the public FBI address that's at 500 Delaware Avenue, Suite 300, which is just a bank tower. You can confirm that 500 Delaware Ave is the borough's public-facing spot, but Google will tell you that 920 North King Street is also the FBI. That is not a mistake. The FBI is also stationed at 920 North King Street. They list it straight in the DOJ's 90s directory. Further, the Secret Service is not a part of the Department of Justice. They are the Department of Homeland Security. So this actually seems to be a joint DOJ DHS site, which verifiably houses 3 different agencies and possibly more, all at the same time. I've looked for a while, and to this day, I don't see any other location that does that. I guarantee you've never personally heard of a federal site operating like that either. No matter what anybody tells you, if they say they lease like that all the time, that is not a justification. Multiple agents of multiple different agencies in one suite is not common or typical in the slightest. A joint office is common, but there's a line to draw between a joint office and at least 3 different agencies alongside contractors all operating in one place. Also, take a look at the borough's own press release from December 5th, 2024. Christopher Wray, quote, met with key partners and stressed how critical FBI partnerships are to protecting our communities. They chose to mention partners. They didn't say that he met with agents that were assigned in Wilmington. They foregrounded partnerships. That's the vocabulary that they use when the space is not purely FBI and it lines up with what is actually happening at 920 North King Street, which is the FBI, the DEA, and the USSS, United States Secret Service, and others are working together in a commercial tower. Here is the link for that.
920 King Street, Wilmington,
that
Delaware.
Ray confirms that the place houses private partners as well. He says, quote, if you step back and look at how much closer our partnerships are now than they were 5 or 10 years ago, it's a defining trend. I think of significance.
Let me skip this a little bit just because it really...
An entire generation of law enforcement. Within an hour, federal SUVs move from that airport to
here we go.
920 North King Street. 920 North King Street has been a federal residence office since...
This is the airport where they went from Utah to Wilmington. Or no, Wichita. Y'all saw it on that paper. You have to rewind if you want to keep track.
At least 1997, and today it houses the DEA, the FBI, and the United States Secret Service, all at the same address. The hangar the plane would have used is controlled through a DRBA lease that itself is nested in federal waterways. The FBI also publicly talks about key partners in Wilmington on the same year that the hangar reactivates. I'm going to skip this next portion because he tells me how I can verify this. And like I said, I did that. Once more, go through this logic and ask yourself how this makes any sense. On November 13th, 2022, SUBTT flies from Cairo to Paris to Wichita, Kansas, to Wilmington, Delaware, back to Cairo. That is already a 4-leg, 2-continent hop that ends in Wilmington before going home.
All right. So, when the plane left Utah, after Charlie got shot, it went to this hangar, back to this hangar, before moving on to Cairo.
Later, on November 17th, 2022, it does Egypt to Wilmington, again, departing at 8:54 a.m., and this time it stays in Wilmington until November 20th, and only then returns to Cairo. So that is 2 Wilmington arrivals in the same week. Nobody burns a government Falcon 7X on 2 separate Wilmington runs for no reason. I mean, just look at the choice of St. Louis, Wichita, Omaha.
There's, I think, multiple people they flew out. Don't worry, this keeps getting better.
Lincoln, Williston, Minot, and Provo. None of these.
You're gonna be
are
so pissed by the
standard
end of
Hawaii
this.
hubs. Most of those don't even have
I am.
consulates, and absolutely none of them.
In
are known
fact,
for law.
since I've caught up to speed with this situation, it actually gives me nausea sometimes. This is the first time in our life we're actually seeing a Secret Service hit job go wrong and it being unraveled and unveiled in real time for us. And to picture by the end of this video some of the people that are implicated in this made me sick, because it makes me think about all the times I felt that they were being sincere. And to realize that me, such a good read of character, couldn't catch that. And I'm disappointed that they're that great of a con artist.
Large-scale Egyptian presence, so that immediately undermines the whole "it's just a maintenance stop" excuse. Ask yourself, why else a state aircraft would hopscotch across America to remote cities if its purpose was just servicing at a defunct Wilmington Assault Center? Wilmington is undeniably a terminal point, and the only logical reason points to 920 North King Street.
Yep.
I could go through all of the dates, and
they had to stop there to go to that multi-agency federal residency building. So one right there's a problem. So the plane went from Cairo to, I guess, Wilmington to Wichita, and then, basically went to Utah, came back, and then stopped here to go check in with, this is the plane SUBTTE, to go check in with the FBI and the USSS at 920 King Street. So what would they possibly be reporting? Obviously a job completed. Thank you, Kurtmuth. I appreciate you. Welcome to my show. I haven't seen your name before. If I've interacted with you, I'm sorry that I've forgot.
do this, but you already mapped the flight, so you already understand exactly what I'm saying. Obviously, I can't tell you how I know this or who I am or exactly who it is that I work for. My motive is simply that I can no longer keep this stuff in my head anymore. I just need somebody with a history of doing the right thing and figuring out the entire truth. I hope you can understand why I cannot verify my employment here. I took a big risk to tell the truth, and my hope is that you will.
Fru, that's not at all what happened here, actually. I don't think he had reported it to the FBI yet. In fact, because the person he was telling, the only person he was telling, I think at the time, was Candace and I would assume his wife.
Please check me on it. Analyze and verify the flight patterns. So,
look at her. She's speechless. Oh, man. Look at her.
Why Kash Patel is out, right? I mean, I read this, checked it, verified it, and I just want to know why, Charlie. I want to know why the decision was made.
Dan Bongino,
Charlie Kirk,
Pam Bondi.
That very clearly had to be approved by Charlie's friends.
Yep.
That's all I have. I want to know.
Like you guys, the ones of you that were with me on my subscriber show, and I was telling you about my experience with forensic psychology. Murder for hires, it's always the family or the employees, the people at work. It's the people that they spend the most time with that give the access and how, or at least the know-how on how to access the victim.
I think we deserve to know why. And instead, we're going to be sued. I guess, is this going to be the pathway forward? You're going to start murdering more people in broad daylight for knowing? Is that our consequence? Is that like the slave consequence? Is that like, catching a slave and cutting off their limbs for knowing that you're evil, for finding out, for us understanding what we have known?
That's what they did to Chester Bennington, the guy from Audio Slave, Kurt Cobain. They tried to do it to Courtney Love. They did it to Britney. Short of killing her, they broke her brain with a cocktail that permanently does that. They've done it to Lindsay Lohan. They did it. There's a whole process to harming people once they start speaking out against, the overlords.
Charlie died and people started peddling out excuses after excuse why we weren't allowed to look into this. I think all we want to know is why. We want to know what that slave did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. I think we just want to know what he did wrong, okay? Because that email, that checks out. Yeah. Secret Service, the FBI, the DEA being involved, why this plane, the quote unquote Egyptian plane landed into Wilmington, that checks out. So I guess to our government.
Yeah, Danny, he was in both those bands, Soundgarden and Audio Slave.
Are we just going to keep spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to see how much money can be spent on a psychological operation to convince people not to believe their own eyes and to convince people to accept the Fed slop, to convince people that Charlie ate 3,000 pounds of energy coming at him?
Right.
Can we know?
Exactly. I don't think he was shot with 30-06. I think he was shot with a 9mm, especially the way they describe the fragmentation of the vertebrae and the way the bullet fragmented on the C6. I don't think a 30-06 would do that in such a small area of the body. I think it would blow a massive hole out the other side because it's too narrow of a space. But for the bullet to hit the vertebrae, traveled down, dink, 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 the smaller vertebrae got shattered, dink, 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 and then it hit the thicker, right where it starts to get thicker at C6. And then that's where the bullet fragmented.
Why? We just want to know what he did. I want to know what Charlie did. I think about this. It is
Stood up against Israel.
What did Charlie find out? Charlie found something out. That's it, guys.
Something
Charlie
really a lot deeper than
something out, and
a lot. This was a lot deeper than just we're offering you money to blindly support us and you rejected it. This is something way more. I think it's Epstein related, possibly. It's tied to like everything we know that goes wrong with the committee of they that exerts their power over us.
That's the truth. Okay. Charlie knew something.
Yep.
And whatever it is big and it is ugly.
Yep.
And deep
it's
down,
bad.
I think we know what it is.
Yep.
I think we all kind of know what it is.
Yep. That the world empire of human trafficking is run by the Zionists. Yeah, that.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say beyond the fact that we are being ruled by sadistic criminals.
Right, Johnny.
All of us, the whole world, every nation, okay? A gang of demented psychopaths rule over us, and their solution to being caught doing psychopathic things is to murder us. Murder us.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll take a quick break and come
Yeah. So this is how they keep people like me who have shows from talking about the truth. They make examples of other people to scare all of us into shutting up. But we aren't going to do that. And they absolutely still worship Moloch. Of course they do. The sacrificing of the red heifer they've done now twice in the last 4 years. Fru says if he was hit with a 306, his head would have been pink mist. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like I've seen that caliber go through like a couple bags of potting soil before it stopped. I mean, I think I even saw it make it out, just touch the back of a concrete bag. But yeah, there's no way. Oh yeah, John Lennon, Bob Marley, Michael Jackson, Prince. Yes, all of them. They got them all. You know, that's what they do. If you have any influence and you start to whistleblow, if you're really deadly in terms of, now no pun intended, but in terms of breaking the machine, they're going to break you first.
Back.
Oh, wait, we can't
this
do
holiday
the
season, you
blah,
can
blah,
express
blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. I have to pass the commercial because we're not allowed to show that.
company because
Okay, here we go.
was shot, and I'm going to call these.
Here we go.
To save 40.
Here we go.
So I'm going to go ahead and take his advice and analyze and verify the flight patterns.
Oh yeah,
I'd like
you're
to
right, Fru.
draw your attention to.
Well, he's paying attention
there's
now
something in the
because
back of my
Candace
mind
got
that I
his
haven't shared
attention
yet
with
that is
the
bothering
fact
me
that
about the flight
she's
on
been able to
that
prove
day
her life is at
that
stake.
scrambled to get to Charlie after he was shot. And I'm going to call these our green planes. Green means go. These are the planes, and I've already mentioned to you guys this first one that we ended up discovering was related to, can you pull up this, thanks.
All right.
The Cessna Citation that holds 7 to 8 passengers. That's the one that departed from Scottsdale at 8 o'clock a.m.
All right. Scottsdale, Arizona. Plane number N560TW left from Scottsdale, arrived in Provo. Look at the time, 10:06. Departed at 10:24. That's quick. 20 minutes for Santa Barbara. Landed in Santa Barbara at 11:12. Literally another 20 minutes. Left at 11:37 and arrived in Scottsdale, Arizona at 12:44.
Landed into Provo at 10:06 a.m. And then it immediately departed for Santa Barbara, landed into Santa Barbara, and immediately departed for Scottsdale, landing into Scottsdale at 12:44 p.m. So just after Charlie got shot, because that's Scottsdale time.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious about who was on that plane because we can attach that to Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA is featured on T.W. Lewis's foundation website. They are partners. They have given to Turning Point USA. And that flight feels very important to me. The next flight is a Beechcraft that departed Scottsdale at 12:27 p.m. local. And that holds about...
She stopped with the Frenchman after Charlie died, and she had no idea that in her investigation to find out what happened to Charlie, it would lead her right back to the Macrones. What a divine twist of fate is that? Oh, and Brittany's story tied into this. You got to go back, subscribe on Instagram, and go back and look at the TTN Nightcap Edition number 6.
That's a smaller plane, about 6 seats. The next flight is the 15 to 16 passenger flight. That's a big one. That was Charlie's plane that day. First took him to Salt Lake City for the restaurantology interview that he...
Oh, Johnny, that's an interesting point. You said they can't take out Trump, so they're going after his supporters. That's an interesting theory.
He did his last interview, and then after
Candace has turned on Trump.
Somebody sent it to...
because of this Charlie thing. However, if now that they're taking her seriously, hopefully he can save that relationship with Candace, because I think them two together would be motherfucking dynamite. Candace and Trump, holy shit. Talk about That if she was a lawyer, that's who should be the AG.
Correctly, I'm assuming this might have been what Mikey McCoy coordinated, sent it straight to Scottsdale. And I would like to know who specifically got onto this plane. And then they land.
By the way, you guys might be really proud of me because this is my last vape. It is on fumes. And I bought a inhaler, like a air stick that has menthol, thyme, and mullein in it. And the mullein helps repair the damage to your lungs from smoking and vaping. So y'all got to root me on when this is done. Y'all got to help get me through my nicotine withdrawals. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to need all y'all. Y'all going to have to help me. All right, let's get back to Miss Candace. Candace Hearns.
Into Provo at 3:31 p.m. The last plane that we have here is one that departed Santa Barbara at 2:19 p.m. local. That's actually quite late. I want to draw your attention to that. That's a smaller airplane, and it's quite late because that's going to be 3:19 p.m. Utah time. That's 3 hours after Charlie got shot.
Danny, DM me and I will send you the Amazon link for the... It's like a... I forgot what it's called. They call it a personal like air purifier or like... I forgot what it's called, but I'll send you the link, Danny. I have such a bad like memory when it comes to the names of things, people, places. Yeah.
That person is just leaving Santa Barbara. Passengers, don't know. Here are the passengers that we know came from Arizona and potentially Santa Barbara. Andrew Colvette's wife. We have a priest. We have Stacey Sheridan, who's the chief finance person. We have, fundraiser over there. We have Elizabeth McCoy, Mikey McCoy's wife. We have Tyler Boyer and we have Erica Kirk.
Okay. The Mikey McCoy, Ryan, what's the olive skin guy's name again? The TPUSA, Adam? I don't think that's his name.
Could be more people.
Andrew Colvette.
We need to focus here.
Andrew Colvette, I am convinced, is the person that handed Charlie over.
So there's a fact that's not connecting for me when I look at this, a fact that I have about how things were running that day. And so if you have information.
Oh, reaction fun. Thank you for the tip. You know what? That's kind of weird that you said that, to hold my breath for 3 to 7 seconds, because I've been kind of instinctually doing that all day for some reason. Maybe that's what I'm doing, because I've probably only pulled on the vape, maybe 6 times today, because there's not much in it. It's just the taste that I'm tasting now at this point. So I'm wondering if that's just somehow spiritually, I just knew to do that. But thank you, Recreation Fun. I appreciate it. Okay, let's keep going. What happened to that microchip that was in the camera that was behind Charlie? Yeah, so she does talk about that early in these live streams about Charlie. So go back maybe like 9 weeks or 6 to 9 weeks. You'll see her talking about that camera, that whole thing with the camera.
Maybe you're at Turning Point USA, at who left at what time.
Which, by the way, what that was with the SD card, she was able to see what was on it. She saw the back of Charlie when he got shot, and she said there was absolutely no blood, no exit wound or anything. That's what's on that microchip, that SD card.
It's headquarters. Elizabeth McCoy screamed. She grabbed her phone. She ran out. Mikey probably called her. That would make sense. And that's about 30 minutes away from the airport. If you have information inside of Turning Point USA headquarters as to who you heard, or maybe you watched an interview, there were tons of interviews that everybody was doing in the days following that were a part of the Turning Point USA apparatus, speaking about where they were, what time they got the call. Please send that at moretips@CandaceOwens.com. Now, our list of turning point lies is just getting longer every day. Yesterday, we talked about Brian Harpole, the security guy who was not convincing at all. And he basically said, we didn't have drones because looking at the rooftops, because I wasn't allowed to have drones, right? We just were not allowed to have drones that day. A lot of you emailed us and said that was a lie, actually. Again, going back to the early interviews that a lot of TPUSA people gave, Frank Turek, who was with Charlie on the day that he died, with Charlie in the hospital, and carried Charlie into the waiting SUV, he told Megyn Kelly something different about drones on that day. Take a listen.
And in fact, when we were driving into that event, this is the first event I've gone to a college campus with Charlie. He said, Frank, if you can come help me the first couple of days, could you stay an extra day and come with me to the first event? I said, of course. So,
let me pause that because I watched Sean Ryan's interview with Charlie's head of security, and he definitely is lying. So y'all got to watch that one too.
We're driving in, Megyn, and his team has drones up looking at the crowd from above, and they text him some video. And there's thousands of people there an hour before the start. And I said, Charlie, I don't like this place. There's too many buildings. And but he shrugged it off. He knew there were thousands of people there. And he knew in order to minister to people, you can't completely isolate yourself.
They didn't typically pick venues like that.
You can't keep your heart in a box. You got to give
They
it
barely
away.
advertised the event.
His team had drones. They were texting him footage when he was in the car.
This is why we know that the security guy is lying now. Because that guy who was with Charlie said they were using the drones. And the security guy in his interview with Sean Ryan lied to Sean Ryan's face, who is a good man, so I'm offended, lied to Sean Ryan's face and said that they weren't allowed to use drones. That's a total lie. They were using drones. That one lie right there tells me he's in on it.
So Brian Harpole lied. You see,
Brian Harpole, that's his name.
Lay in my
Brian
grandma's
Harpole.
bed and watch Judge Judy with my grandma growing up. And a lot of it, actually, my grandma had a bad hip, so she sometimes had surgeries, and we'd watch Judge Judy. And I remember,
I'm friends with Judge Joe Brown. He absolutely hates Judge Judy.
my brain, maybe Judge Judy made me like this, I don't know, but she used to say, if you lie, you better have a good memory.
Yep.
That's the problem with lies. You got to have a real good memory to lie. When you're telling the truth, you don't have to have a good memory because it just happens. So you just say it. And Turning Point is not having a very good memory right now. And it's hard because they do so much speaking in the aftermath.
They're
they
lying.
can't go back and delete files. And so we can add that to our list now of verifiable Turning Point lies.
The amount of blabbing they did, just soaking up the press after Charlie died. And oh, by the way, how much money Turning Point took in after Charlie died. There's an episode right before this where, and I'm going to review that on my show too, where a financial analyst goes through all of TPUSA's tax returns for this year and the previous years. And that's where it all gets packaged up in a nice, pretty bow, exactly what was happening, because this wasn't just about the 150 million coming from Israel. This is about many more millions and where they were diverting it. And Charlie had a feeling that someone had infiltrated his company, just like they have done to many other corporate raiders, do it all the time. And they were putting money, millions and millions of dollars into a shell company with no explanation. And this is the only year they provided no explanation. And Charlie wanted to know and do a doge on his company. And then 6 days later, he got shot. Oh, Judge Joe Brown, he agreed to come on my show. So I gotta figure out a time and actually promote it so I can make sure to have a lot of people on when he comes on my show. But he will talk for hours. So that'll be anywhere from a 3 to 5 hour show.
Nice. This list is, by the way, we're on 2 pages. Here's a second page. It's getting long. And I'm wondering why any lies are being told, right? Brian did this interview months later, and they still don't have their ducks in a row. By the way, elsewhere in that interview with Brian Harpole, the security guy with Sean Ryan, he reiterates, he doubles down on the idea that Charlie ate 3,000 pounds of energy coming at him. Take a listen.
So the bullet came in and hit the vertebra.
Listen to this stupid shit.
So it came in and then tore up everything in the wound cavity, hit the vertebra, crushed it, shattered it, turned, crushed the second one, turned, kept going down all the way. I think they said C6.
Holy
C6 is in
Why
your
not put that info
sternum,
out? Why not
like
put it
under
out?
your sternum, not
And
in your
then
sternum.
Why wouldn't they put that out?
And if it do me a favor, don't make me do it. It's not my job. And so then it got to here, and you're exactly right. And then hit, I think, 6, and then fragged. And so explanation 101. What are you hiding?
Production, can you please look at your phone?
Yeah. It's like I'm sitting back here when people are saying we bombed him or there's a wound. I'm like, hey, if somebody would, from an official capacity, would just release that. And I don't see how that could jeopardize a fair trial for a guy.
So to be clear, the only person that can actually release his autopsy report is Erica, next of kin.
Yep.
That's given to the next of kin. That's like the Utah state policy. If he's suggesting that the
That's
feds
like
are
everywhere.
blocking her from doing that, I mean, he's in that statement. Why not just release it? They could in theory just release it. And
C6
yeah,
is
not gonna
way
jeopardize
down.
anything. The reason they're
It's
sending you
way.
out to do it is
It's not
because
way
they
down.
don't want to be
It-
caught lying them.
C6 is like right here. Okay, so basically that means he would have been eating bullet, would have been going down towards the stomach. So it's like the C6 is somewhere right in between here, right underneath the sternum, or not underneath. You know what I'm saying? In a straight line this way.
Themselves. The feds have told a ton of lies. That's the problem. And they don't want to add to it. So it's easier to sound a security person and say, oh, we never said that.
No, it definitely hit his neck. Yeah. Some people had thought it hit his chest because the blood came out so fast and it was all over him. But
He said that. If what he is saying is
he got hit
true,
in the jugular.
Charlie wasn't shot by a 30-06.
Not the
which
jug,
we've
the
been telling
carotid
you from
on the
beginning.
left.
Okay? We've been telling you Charlie was not shot by a 30-06. He was not that damaged. I told you this. I've confirmed this. Okay? And so you are left to believe that this really was a modern day miracle. And that bullet came at him from 150 yards, 3,000 pounds of energy, and it just pinged off the back of his neck and went
Yeah,
down
so
to his
that's
stomach.
right
Or
through here.
Charlie was shot with a
So it's
smaller
back here.
weapon. Okay? A smaller caliber. Either or. You get to decide. You get to decide whether salad can do that. You get to decide whether you're accepting the Popeye the Sailor Man narrative and he ate spinach. And then the next thing you know, everything was great and he was strong. You decide. They think you're stupid. They think we're all stupid. Obviously, this is a conspiracy, okay? It is a conspiracy. And I was so happy to hear Joe Rogan spell out and acknowledge that.
But the thing is, that's crazy, is he said C6, but he pointed right here. So that he could have, if he pointed right there, it's probably like C7. But who cares, really? The point is, that's the thicker bone. So they're saying once it got there, that and hit the thicker bone, the thicker vertebrae, the bullet shattered after shattering the preceding vertebra.
Not only are conspiracies real, but they're actually common, okay? He sat down with comedian Theo Vaughn and they discussed.
He could be pointing in the totally wrong area and saying the right one, or saying the wrong one and pointing in the right area. I don't know, but it's just, to me, that's all conjecture anyway. Doesn't matter.
Just that thing. Take a listen.
What makes me nervous is the people that are not aware that all of our assumptions of how the government works were all based on bull. The people that still believe, that are like true believers of one side or the other, true faith in government and experts, those people make me more nervous because some of them are smart. That's what's crazy. When smart people are completely unwilling to recognize that conspiracies are not just real, but they're also not rare. They're very common.
Isn't that what I was
They're
just
common,
telling
and
y'all
people get-
yesterday? I was just saying how I hate it when people go, oh, conspiracy theorists. I'm like, literally, when someone commits a crime, they had to conspire to do it first. And no one's going to tell you how they conspired. So it's all a theory based on circumstantial evidence or hard evidence. So it's all a theory about the conspiracy to commit the crime.
Get away with them.
Yeah.
Especially when they're in positions of extreme
Johnny,
power,
I think
like-
it was definitely a 9mm and someone much closer and a much more concealed weapon, or they were hiding in that bush. If you've been looking at the footage, there's a bush right in the direction, and people have reported seeing someone talking to the bush.
running intelligence agencies. And there's a lot of things that they do that are morally reprehensible.
Now, I have certain rifles. Some of y'all know this. You can change the barrels out and you can shoot multiple calibers out of a rifle. So it's possible that he had something modified like that, especially if they were professional. Or what's more likely is that he wasn't 150 yards out. And based on the footage that I've seen, he was not 150 yards out. He was way closer, and concealed in a bush. That's what I think. I think he was in a bush. There's a bunch of people with red burgundy. What's the matter?
But totally legal. Like, they can do it because they're allowed to, because they are a 3-letter organization and they have ultimate power to do a lot of like really gross things that are in the nature or in the interest of national security. So like, this is the whole idea behind it. They say like, this is our decision. This is the best move for national security. This is how we compromise assets. This is how we gather information. This is how we keep America safe.
Yeah, it's like the Jeffrey Epstein files. Like, they're out there saying it would really compromise national security if we told you. Yeah, worldwide. If we told you that actually this whole world is being run by pedophiles, our nation wouldn't be secure.
That's what I was
You guys
saying.
would probably be in the
That's what Charlie, I think, got concrete evidence of with the Epstein the Epstein stuff going on. The money, everything. It's just literally everything I've been finding out through the last 5 years. Now, Charlie, the cherry on top, is that it's literally people from Israel that run the human trafficking network around the world. And that's what I think a lot of this is about.
streets violently protesting. You'd never send your kids into school. You'd avoid the government like the plague, and you'd stop playing taxes. So we're just gonna classify
right.
that
And with the
as a
Macron
national-
stuff, the Brigitte Macron stuff was coming out that he's a pedophile dressing as a woman in a position of power. And that's how the MK Ultra stuff was coming into play. And it's just so crazy to me that her own side project with the Macrons she wasn't looking for that to be part of this, and it played right into it all. It's just the sickest world. Like, we have got to get these criminals that are in the globalist government out and exposed.
security risk. That's kind of what that means. Obviously, it means that what they are doing is so despicable that if we knew what they were doing, we
Which
would not
we know.
listen to them.
We
what
don't
that
know,
means. That's what
no,
that language means. That's
but
why
we
there's been
know.
so much protection
That's what
over
she
Jeffrey
always says.
Epstein, because that is who rules over us. These people are disgusting, and there's just been so much proof in.
Especially when it's a
particularly, I would say, the
bloodline.
last 2 years of that. I mean, any person who actually watched the Brigitte Macron story knows that that was a story about pedophiles in power. Pedophiles in power, and the psychopathic lengths they will go through to maintain the lie, right? Because they just think, even though we're lying and we're caught lying and you all know that we're lying, we're the slave masters. How dare you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Theo and Joe had quite a laugh discussing the Brigitte Macron non-conspiracy theory. Take a listen.
Dude, Candace is the best. I went to see, she has, her and her husband have 4 of the most beautiful kids in the world, and they're so funny, and you go over there and they're just like, dying laughing, and one of them looks just like her. It's so funny, dude.
Do you think she's right about that French president?
Oh, the winner.
Yeah.
The winner.
Not- he is married to a man. She's all in on that, bro.
Oh, she's all in. Well,
They're suing her, aren't they?
I think they are. I don't know if they
Yep.
still are.
I think they're at least threatening a lawsuit. It's like for like $50 million.
Winner.
Winner.
That would be my. If she ever writes a book, that's got to be it. But dude, it is kind of strange that the guy is dating his teacher, right?
Or he's, when
Yeah.
he was like 40 and the kid was 15,
Yes.
or she was 40, even if it was a she.
Right.
Like, what?
Isn't that
And again,
fucking
this is France.
gross? That's why they're trying to take her to court to get her to shut up, because Brigitte Macron is a disgusting man who rapes little boys.
They're very different over there.
Yeah.
Pedophilia is
they
just
are.
like, oh,
Hot dog,
get your
wee
weed out
wee.
of that child.
Winner.
What have you done?
Winner.
He's almost 15.
Bro, that if she does, though, she better have a hog on her. And I don't
I
think
bet she doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if she has the body style to have a real
Body
hog on her.
style to have a hog.
If they release, the last thing the last thing France needs is to release like a wiener that looks like it's retreating, kind of. It will just go down.
Retreating.
They need to release a hog.
Look like a belly button.
Classic Theo Von. Classic Theo Von. And here's the reality. I told the truth about the Brigitte Macron story, right? And like I said, the fact that they are caught and their move is we're going to sue Candace Owens, that really tells you the nature of the psychopathology. Like, these people are not human. Do you know what I mean? They're not human. There's something very dark and sinister and wrong that nothing
Matrix.
stops them. They have no shame. And their only option is more anger, more destruction. And in some circumstances, people with that much power, in a lot of circumstances, more murder. More murder. And I will never get over the fact, by the way, that the decision was made to execute Charlie Kirk publicly.
Right.
They wanted us to see it. That is something that truly disturbs me on every level to
Baby,
consider.
that's called
that they
divine
wanted us to
planning.
see it, and then they wanted.
Because look at what happened to the world after that. That was by God's hand. Divine will, although painful sometimes, is perfect. When you have something like that happen, it moves masses in the same direction.
To spend money on a psychological campaign to tell us that we were wrong for seeing it and thinking about it and
Thank
not
you,
accepting the
SEAL team.
narrative. Like, that really gets to the heart of the disturbing corruption and psychopathic nature of our governments worldwide. I just want to say that, okay? Now, in funnier news, if you think that by not acknowledging conspiracies, you're somehow going to be spared by them, you're obviously very wrong. If you join the experts, and try to throw mud at people who are speaking about the obvious lies, eventually you will get swallowed by them. That's how it goes. You sell your soul to the devil. Eventually, you'll get swallowed by it. Now, that's not a way to say that Tim Pool sold himself to the devil. He's a bit of a fence sitter. I like Tim Pool. He's always been good to me. But when it matters, he will always just take like a little dig. And he kind of did that when I started investigating the Charlie Kirk series. And he kind of said, oh, well, no, you're number one podcast and you should be more concerned about harmony. As I started saying that the donors were squeezing Charlie. Like, that's the main thing. This is a part of the story. Like, donors were getting very angry with Charlie. And then what happened was that Tim Pool, who is always invited to speak at Turning Point USA's AmFest, they cut him because of his anti-Israel, or what could be interpreted as anti-Israel rhetoric. Anyways, let's watch Tim Pool in quick succession.
That moment before Charlie was murdered, there was a path that we were on that was promising. Now, 2 months later, the narrative has turned into conspiracy drama about Charlie Kirk. If Turning Point was involved in it, references to Jewish donors pulling out and how Erica knew everything. And that's the narrative the number one podcast has given us.
A few moments
Ooh.
later.
I've not said anything particularly disparaging about AmFest, but they told me I couldn't come. Why? Maybe it's because I said we should stop funding Israel. Maybe it's because I said we shouldn't be giving money to Ukraine. Maybe it's because young people largely don't want foreign intervention. And there are individuals in politics who disagree.
Like Senator Cruz.
There it is, Tim. And I do that in friendly jest, but that's the point. Like, just you got to go after the thing and talk about what's real, because there was an infiltration happening at Turning Point USA. It's still happening, obviously. Charlie was in the way. And this is relevant. It's all relevant. We have to understand exactly what happened in the months leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination to understand a fuller picture, to try to get to what the truth is. And yeah, anyways, I thought it was very funny when I saw that happen. Not like funny that you didn't get invited. It happened to me the year before. That's it. The donors squeeze him. They don't like one thing you say. You get put on a list. Financial threats are made. And Charlie was standing up for himself. So, but I do think it's funny that you learned this lesson the hard way. Anyways, again, that's all in friendly fire. We will get to a couple more sponsorships before I answer some of your questions and comments. All right, you guys, you've heard me speak a lot.
Okay, so yeah. What do you guys think so far? Because I'm saving the best part for now. I just got to figure out how to close the window and go to the next video. Production's just going to do it for me. My cats upstairs right now sound like they just grew in number exponentially. I have 3 and it sounds like there's 9 up there right now. They sound like a herd of elephants. My 3 8-pound cats are turning into ninjas. Because, you know, we're coming up on that midnight hour. Any of you that have cats will know what I'm talking about. Okay. So now that I have explained the planes, have had Candace explain the planes, I'm going to explain this, or have her explain the Cash Patel link here. So, oh goodness, it's saying we aren't on the internet. We are not logged into the World Wide Web. All right. They found the edibles. I could use an edible. Actually, is Annabelle asleep? Is she awake or asleep? Duh. I'm trying to wait for my kid to go to bed so me and Miss Mary Jane can have our date. Ugh. All right. So, Charlie Kirk and Operation Valhalla. Oh, hi. Hello, Connecticut. Alexander Serrano. Good to see you tonight. We're getting into our second long form video. And I am playing a part B. I'm probably going to do some long form podcasts here to get through this Candace stuff. Because I think it's really important that everyone understands what is going on with the Charlie Kirk situation. It's critical to you knowing what's going on with the world. Like, it's tied to the entire cabal. So, sorry. This mic keeps trying to make me deep throat it. It rudely keeps bumping me in my bottom lip. Rude. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Let me look at the chat really quick. You know what? I gave my cats some catnip once, and all 3 of them had a completely different reaction. My girl cat looked like straight turned in to a meth user, was angry and like at everything. Venom, her name is Stormy. Venom, my half blind cat, was like drunk. Like he drank a bottle of alcohol. And then Spider, his older brother, was literally like, I don't know, it was like a cokehead. Just like somebody that really loves Coke, you know, those people are. He was like, yeah. So yeah, it was kind of funny. And then I got the bubbles, the catnip bubbles, which they hate because all my cats are like me. They like to just be comfortable and warm and in a nice little one spot. And they were like, ew, this is sticky and wet and we don't like it. Stormy likes watching it though because it's sparkly and she loves watching the bubbles. But my boy cats are like, fuck the bubbles. But yeah, this Daddy Mike, he's over here like, bunk, bunk, bunk. And I'm just like, not right now. Mommy's working. No, I don't know. It's just because when it's too far away, it covers up here and we get complaints. All right. Let's go back to the YouTube. Man, y'all are quiet tonight. Y'all really into these videos. That's okay. It's fine. Y'all, I'm here to take it at y'all's pace. Y'all want to party? We can party. All right.
All right, you guys. Happy Friday. Some more interesting tips are coming in. It seems that company, Satis, that French company, the angle has opened up a whole new level of possibilities here in this Charlie Kirk assassination story. And I have to tell you, I do not think that they were just painting planes this year. Rather, we've learned that just before Charlie's assassination, there was actually this joint military exercise,
hey, Mike. Glad
which
you're
was
back.
taking place related exactly to where the Egyptian...
Mike, you missed the microphone beating me in the face. It was insisting on some DT action, but I told the microphone that's highly inappropriate for a public domain.
Yellow plane landed on its way to Provo. We need to definitely keep at it.
Candace owes you
Zionists are mad.
$20,
Don't know
eh?
why. This investigation really has set Zionists off. I think it's because we're getting closer, and Charlie would indeed want us to keep going,
Hey.
Max. So welcome back to Canada.
On Rumble, let me go check in on Rumble here for a bit. Sorry, I gotta remember we have Rumble chat going now. Reality Pocket says, so you're a cat lady. I am an animal lady. I will take anything in my house. I will let an alligator in my house as long as it's a baby. I've had snakes. I've had guinea pigs. My favorite pet was a rat. I've had chickens, ducks, peacocks, bunnies. Always have dogs. I have 6 dogs now. Horses and cows. And yeah, we have had the occasional stray, injured anything that my daughter brings or wants to befriend and feed. So we just do that. And I'm probably going to be buying another ball python here for Christmas for my daughter. So yeah. My ball python that I had for 5 years, he passed away. I think he got a virus or a parasite or something from outside because our tegu and our python died at the same time while during a period of time where my daughter was obsessed with catching wild lizards. And I kept telling her to stop because it might get our domesticated, reptiles sick. And I think that's what happened. But, Johnny says I identify as a stray animal. My dad told me I have lost puppy syndrome. Let's see. Iguanas are mean. I don't like iguanas. They're pretty, but they're mean. I actually prefer the Chinese water dragon over the iguana because it's a similar type of lizard, but the Chinese water dragon's way more friendly. He said, oh no, you lost me at snakes. I gotta post up a picture of me holding my python. All right, let's get back to YouTube.
Yes.
Do you love how her intro's so quick and mine's
Okay, so
so
that
long?
interview that I did with Charlie back when my show was on PragerU's network, is becoming increasingly prophetic. At the end of every one of those interviews, I would ask the questions from my viewers to whoever it was that I was interviewing. And this is the question that came in for Charlie, and this is how Charlie chose to answer that question. Take a listen.
Okay, who is, I already know this. You kind of already touched on this. Your all-time favorite historical figure, is it Milton Friedman or is there someone else? Jesus Christ?
Yeah, I
Milton
would
Friedman?
say, I gotta always say Jesus Christ, probably. Wow, that is a great question. Historical figure. So just for to make it fun, let's just say before 1850.
Okay, he's amending your question.
Yes, whoever this is. Susie from Buffalo. I'm so sorry. Yeah, exactly.
Is Rumble
amazing,
frozen?
Right? It's the Mensa. I mean, I'm kidding. So I love the American founding fathers. Ben Franklin, I always really enjoyed. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson I think are too cliche. So one I really enjoy that I just love learning from is Julius Caesar. I think he's one of the most interesting historical figures. If you want to talk about someone who lived a full life,
Right.
it's Julius Caesar. From conquering northern Germania to surviving and winning a Roman civil war,
Right.
to an unusual alliance and quelling a rebellion with Cleopatra, to eventually ending the Roman Republic, to starting the Roman Empire, and then seeing the people that he benefited the most turn against him.
Right.
I think there's something very tragic and very interesting about that. So I think it's one of the most interesting, and you could learn, if there's something to learn about humanity, you could learn it through the prism of Julius Caesar.
Man, that sure is something to hear him say that. The people who benefited the most turned against him.
Jack.
Gaius Julius Caesar, that is correct. A general who had rightfully earned the respect of the people for leading them through the Gallic wars, a statesman, and finally a leader who in the end was betrayed and famously assassinated by the very people that he helped to build up. A conspiracy, a plot to murder him, which included a lot of people, politicians, of course, the senators, military men, close friends and confidants, the most infamous, of course, being Brutus. Now, some reports say that he viewed Brutus as a son. That's how close they were. Of course, that didn't stop Brutus from plunging the knife into him. 23 times Julius Caesar was stabbed by senators, and of course, Brutus, leading to the famed Shakespearean expression.
Me too.
And
So, Justin, yes, that's how I opened the show, was with her last post on X, because she has to be protected now, and the government the POTUS is taking her seriously. Kash Patel, when we get done with this episode, you gonna be mad, dude. Gonna be mad.
Et tu, Brute. Et tu. You as well. You too. Wow. You have turned against me as well. Now, why was Caesar assassinated? Because I don't know. He was too good, too adored, too respected by the people, thereby a threat somehow to the establishment of politics.
She's going to lay out how Kash Patel was involved with this. We just went over the episode Snakes on a Plane, where we tracked the planes and they went to a building in Wilmington, Delaware. The address is 920 King Street, which is a multi-agency federal residence building, which multi-agency is not common, doesn't typically happen. And the FBI and the USSS is there in that plane after the assassination. The plane that went there, plane bearing the letters SUBTTE, went to Utah and then stopped here before it went back to Cairo.
To see somebody come through the ranks and achieve what they perceive to be power that they can't control. Yeah, the Bible's very...
Sean Ryan is in the middle of a crisis. I saw his latest 2 episodes. This Charlie Kirk thing has opened up a huge world, and he is now in the middle of a massive crisis. That security guy, head of security, Brian Harpool, lied to Sean Ryan. And I think Sean Ryan, if he keeps up through his investigations, isn't going to like Kash Patel anymore. But I think that's what he discovered because Sean Ryan is opening up to the last 2 or 3 sitters on his show about how he's in an existential crisis now. He didn't say it was because of Charlie, but I'm telling you, that's when it started, was after Brian Harpool's interview.
Very clear that there is nothing new under the sun, and it appears that history is present again. Judas, Brutus, in the future, when we are long gone from this world, who do you guys think is going to be the person remembered most for this act
Because
of betrayal?
here's the thing with Sean Ryan, because he's now realizing that the agency he dedicated his entire life for is being run by criminals, because the entire operation against Charlie was military run.
Against Charlie. Not me, that's for sure. It's not going to be Candace Owens, okay? No one's going to be saying, et tu, Candace, et tu. I can tell you that right now in government, there is real panic. There is real discussion happening regarding the Egyptian planes. I was informed that yesterday evening because I'm getting the sense that they hold the key to solving Charlie's assassination. The media keeps trying these weird ways to debunk them. And we're going to find out. I've been confident from the beginning that this was not going to be a JFK assassination story. We are going to figure out who that foreign dignitary was who went to 920 North King on the morning of Charlie's assassination, who flew from Provo and landed into Wilmington, Delaware on the morning of Charlie's assassination. It is a very important question that needs answering.
So they went from Provo to that Secret Service FBI building, then to Utah, then back to the federal residency building in Wilmington, and then back on to Cairo.
Received another email, this time from somebody in the military who informed us about another piece that we were missing that could be crucial to this puzzle, taking a more serious look into that 1 hour layover stop when our yellow plane, SUBTT, the tail number.
SUBTT. Okay, so there's no E in that. Let me scratch that E off. So Justin, yes, that dude is lying. He also lied about the fact that this is what Candace does. She lets you give a chance to respond, lets you lie, and then brings the receipts. So Brian Harpool said they weren't allowed to use drones. Total lie, because someone that was there with Charlie that day said they were using the drones right before he went on to check the safety of the place.
Came into the United States on September 4th. You might recall it stopped for just 1 hour in Minot, North Dakota, which I learned has an Air Force base. It pretty much is just the Air Force base, by the way, before making its way onto Provo. And here I'm going to read to you that email that I received. It says, "Hi, Candace, I am blank. One of the good ones, military member, one of the good ones. I think one of the keys to not overlook here is BTT's stopover in Minot, North Dakota. Why stop there at all on the 4th? Why not fly direct to Provo? Not only does Minot have an FBI office, but it also has an Air Force base. Among other tenants, that Air Force base is home to the 891st Missile Security Forces Squadron, a combined military and civilian security force that had just come off of Operation Valhalla, a training exercise in Minnesota."
Did you guys hear that? They had just come off of a training exercise called Operation Valhalla, a combined security force of government and private. Isn't that fucking funny? Isn't that fucking funny? See, when I first heard Kash Patel say, "See you in Valhalla," I didn't think much of it because that's something we say in my culture. My culture, my dad's side. We're Pictish descent, Scottish and Viking mix, to be exact. And to say skull or see you in Valhalla is very much a part of our, because Valhalla is one of the 7 heavens. It's where the warriors go, and other religions have there's 7 heavens. All religions talk about the 7 heavens. That's one of them. And for him to say that, I didn't think much of it but I was surprised. I was like, does he believe in like the Norse pantheon? Like, is he one of my people? Like, is he polytheistic or like what's happening here? And then I just kind of let it go and then heard this. It was weird I think it was more than a Freudian slip. I think that was him confirming and communicating to the French that everything has been executed and has gone to plan. And that he's confirming he is absolutely no longer alive.
From the 24th to the 29th
You see what I'm saying?
of
This
August,
microphone
where
is
the
so
security
weird. Keeps slapping me in my bottom lip.
forces practice long-range shooting practice, among other things. Remember on September 12th when Kash Patel ended his press conference with, quote, "Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, my brother. We have the watch and I'll see you in Valhalla." Yeah, very interesting thing to say. I don't believe in coincidences. That's how he ended the email, telling me to keep up the hard work. And so we investigated that, and that fact
Let's
checked
see
true,
the
right?
rest of the
My
email real
friend
quick.
Charlie Kirk.
Minot is also home to Global Strike Command, which has worked with Israel on joint exercises. She didn't want to read that part. See, I think she's starting to tiptoe. France has also partnered with the 5th Bomber Wing at Minot. So, although I haven't found anything to say that Israel or France was on that base or on that plane that day, they have worked with the Global Strike Command in the past. My theory is that the least part of the team you were looking for may have boarded the plane in Minot. So, what? I don't believe in coincidences. Not like to this degree. Not to this degree.
Rest now, my brother. We have the watch and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Jeez.
Yeah, very interesting thing to say. I don't believe in coincidences. That's how he ended the email, telling me to keep up the hard work. And so we investigated that, and that fact checked true, right?
Yep.
My not definitely is home to exactly what we are telling you. I didn't know anything.
Exactly, Justin. Now you're hitting on what my problem is. That's fine. We can be fine allies with Israel. But my problem is Israel seems to forget we're allies because they have been interfering in our politics, influencing our politics. They're touring our Christian churches, trying to convert them into Judeo-Christianity. They are not acting like allies. They're acting like secret operatives. So yeah, it looks to be France, the U.S., Israel, and Egypt involved with this.
By the way, about the city of Minot, I can tell you that North Dakota in general is not a very populous state.
I agree with you,
Approximately 750,000 people statewide, okay? And in Minot, there are just 45,000 people, and that includes 5,000 people who are stationed there at the Minot Air Force. And it is home, as he indicated, to a global command strike center, which has participations between various countries on joint exercises. And we can show you right here that in the weeks leading up to Charlie's assassination, I mean, literally what he says, August 24th, 29th, Operation Valhalla took place in neighboring Minnesota. So they took the Minot boys and they took them over to Minnesota. And it included the military and, of note, the civilians. What's interesting, of note, civilians, and they trained from August 25th to August 29th. And we can read the details of that here. And by details, I mean this is what the public was told about what they were training for, okay? So this is on the Minot Air Force Base website. It says Operation Valhalla Strike was a week-long training where the 891st Squadron from Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota, traveled to Camp Ripley Training Center in Minnesota, August 24th, 29th, 2025. The advanced training focused on air-based ground defense and nuclear security tactics, the bread and butter of the squadron's mission. The training, called Operation Valhalla Strike, allowed the unit to complete requirements not possible at the Minot Air Force Base, including full-distance live fire exercises. Camp Ripley provided full-distance firing ranges, which allowed defenders to hone their rifle marksmanship and machine gun proficiency, exceeding the capabilities of standard Air Force 25-meter training ranges. Okay, the squadron of more than 250 dedicated airmen and civilians supporting the 91st Missile Wing's global deterrence mission by defending the United States with the world's premier combat-ready intercontinental ballistic missile force. Okay, cool. And yeah, it sure must be something of just a coincidence that Valhalla, which kind of struck everybody as odd, as was him going 33 hours, 33 hours, 33 hours. It was like there was a press conference that was happening for the American people, but he was signaling to other people who were like in the club to know what they needed to understand about what happened. Do you know what I mean? That's how I felt about Kash Patel's press conference and the things that he was saying. It just didn't, something felt weird about it. 33 hours, 33 hours. And of course, yes, he did say something about Valhalla. Let's take a listen to what Kash Patel said.
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Probably just a coincidence, you guys, that this operation also fits just so neatly into our timeline. I love timelines. I love neat timelines. So let's pull that up again. I'm also going to introduce a couple of corrections to yesterday. First and foremost, July 20th, we talked about BTT, which came in for its longest trip. That's correct, from Cairo. It went through to Paris, and then it went to Omaha, Nebraska. I think yesterday I said that it stayed in Wilmington for 6 days. No, it only stayed in Wilmington for one night. It stayed in Nebraska for the longest stretch yet, departing from Nebraska, from Lincoln, Nebraska in particular. And this 6-day stretch of what they were doing in Nebraska actually might offer us a clue, because during this stretch on July 22nd, the Nebraskan Secretary of State, Bob Evans, announced that they were going to put together a trade and investment delegation to Cairo, Egypt. What are the odds? You got this plane from Cairo, Egypt, and we're going to pull this up and show you. And suddenly you got this guy, Bob Evans, and he says, yeah, you know what? Let's plan a trip to Cairo and see if we can make some money with them. I'm going to let you listen to, I think we have a news clip that will show you that happened.
Nebraska Secretary of State Bob Evans is inviting business and industry leaders to take part in a trade mission, investment mission to Egypt later this year. Egypt's position in North Africa makes it an ideal gateway to doing business in the greater Middle East region, and our state excels in several sectors that Egypt is keen to invest in, including agricultural goods, manufacturing, water management, medical technology, and more. The mission is currently scheduled for October 26th through November 2nd. However, the dates are subject to change. Those interested in joining the delegation to Egypt can visit the Secretary of State's website or contact the office to learn more.
And I want to say to my Nebraskans, we should probably figure out, I didn't have time to do this, we should go through a schedule and see who we met with, because I feel like that idea might be related to our planes. I just don't think like people in Nebraska are sitting around like, hey, we should go to Cairo, Egypt. And it happens to line up with this plane that comes in, literally comes in on the exact same day. I also, minor correction, I think yesterday I said that Tucker spoke on July 18th. He actually spoke on July 11th. I just kind of copy and pasted that over wrong, so we made that correction. Anyways, yeah, we can then see that we've added this addition. This Valhalla is now here on our timeline from August 24th to 29th. They have this joint operation Valhalla that's taking place at Camp Ripley, and we are really getting tight here. We are talking about T-minus 12 days until Charlie Kirk is going to be assassinated. And here's what I hope you guys are seeing here, why I have said this was so clearly a military operation. Everything about this story is military, okay? We are receiving tips, and we had been receiving tips I had ignored previously, that the French Foreign Legion was involved somehow in this assassination. Time will tell, okay? And I will present that more formally when I feel like we have concrete evidence. But we have begun the process of sharing information with other content creators, because there's something about this that feels that holding information is not going to help us. We have to, as soon as we get it, spread it with people that we trust, people that are actually fighting for Charlie, people that are actually going max and telling the truth during this tremendous time of deceit. And what I can say for certain thus far is that the list of military connects in this story is just too long, okay? Charlie's surgeon, Dr. Lee Trotter, the alleged surgeon who apparently spoke about the miracle, we're supposed to assume spoke about the miracle, the 30-06. Again, he's not been confirmed, but we are pretty solid. This is our guy who happened to be a pilot who did his residency at an Air Force base. Oh, okay, that's interesting. We told you that Dr. Deidre Amaro, is the medical examiner, Charlie's medical examiner, who they've curiously not wanted to address publicly. Yeah, I told you she's also a major in the military. Oh, who would have thunk it? Andrew Colvett, obviously, his brother and his cousin are captains in the military. That is a fact. Frank Turek, who was there for the assassination, is a naval flight officer. His sons are in the Air Force. That's a fact. McCoy's naval intelligence background in psychological operations because of Granddad, and famed, actually, is the McCoys famed. There was like a fleet of ships named after the McCoys. Very high up military. The only two videos that we have that were recorded allegedly of the shooter, first and foremost, the video of him running away after the shot way too fast. If he was actually crouched down shooting, common sense, it's too fast. You couldn't be in a sprint that quickly. For anybody that's actually fired a rifle, you know that. You can't go from a crouching position to a full sprint in a split second. Well, that video was recorded by a person that is in the ROTC. I hunted that person down. Very strange. They didn't want to be involved and sent it through 3 people to release onto the internet. And then it is boosted. And that's the video that everybody sees. It's supposed to make us think that there was actually someone on that rooftop. Then there's the video the second video, which is the guy laying down before the shot, right? That also was recorded by a person in the military who actually teaches shooting. So this is not a military campus, guys. Burton Hibbs, Butch, the brother of Pastor Jack Hibbs. Jack Hibbs phones up Charlie. He's like, hey, can my brother come and listen to you speak? I guess this, whatever, it was a hotbed. Older people just love Charlie Kirk in Utah. Very hard to find a student that was just, on campus that day and went to hear Charlie speak, probably because they barely advertised this event for a reason, obviously. I think they wanted to control who was there. And there could have been a lot of people there that were controlled military men. That's my viewpoint. But Burton Hibbs, Butch, is the brother of Pastor Jack Hibbs, obviously sons, I showed you, of an Air Force chief. Tyler Robinson is a Boy Scout whose uncle Mitchell may be related. People have pulled this off of the internet, and I don't have a photo for you today. I should have grabbed it. Amber Robinson, there's just photos of them visiting an Uncle
I don't know if
Mitchell.
Y'all can hear me, but
is this the Mitchell that?
That's Miss Stormy Weather. She had said hi to you guys. I told her to say hi in the microphone, and she said me, but my camera was muted. I mean, my mic was muted.
Allegedly convinced him to turn himself in, who's working. He's very much involved in the military. I believe with shooting in Ukraine, of all places. It's getting shady. And of course, our now infamous planes, SUBTT and SUBNT, are Egyptian military planes.
Yep.
And every plane that seems to be flying over UVU that day is somehow military contracted planes. So are we supposed to think that this is all by coincidence? Or are we looking at an obvious military operation? And here's something else that I want to share with you. As I've reviewed this footage, and any time that I think that somebody is shady or somebody is brought to my attention that is involved or I would like more information on, they happen to be wearing a maroon shirt. Have you guys noticed this? Everybody that day, like I know, look, everybody is liberal and guys wear pink and, Abercrombie's a thing. But I've never in my life looked at every guy seems to be wearing maroon. That I'm like, who is this guy? Oh, he's wearing a maroon shirt. Oh, he's wearing a maroon shirt. Tyler Robinson, everyone's wearing a maroon shirt, as if they were told to wear maroon shirts to identify each other. I'm communicating this to you because it keeps coming up in my research.
Thank you,
and I think it means something. I think we need to hone in on the men, the people in the audience that are wearing maroon shirts. I don't think it's your go-to color for most men. In fact, it was so often that I was seeing this color that I reached out to my source at Utah and I was like, maybe it's a school color. Maybe actually they're all buying shirts and buying t-shirts and the school color for UVU is maroon. And he told me, no, it's not maroon. So this feels like something that we shouldn't ignore. I was able to track down a couple of episodes ago. I was telling you this bush situation seems to be a little odd. People thought they saw somebody speaking to a bush. And I was able to determine who that person was that kind of comes out of the bush. Again, not saying this person has done anything wrong, but unusually when I went to check that person's social.
On my show on Sunday, we looked at the bush. So there's like a hedge bush right in line with where Charlie got shot. And there's clearly someone that goes in it and stays in there, and someone hovering right around the bush, talking to the bush. And then after the shot, you see someone in a maroon hoodie come out of the bush with a black backpack. The kind of backpack you would see if you've ever seen anyone carry a foldable rifle.
They had posted on September 10th about their bulletproof skateboard that, I don't know if it was like a promo for his skateboard or whatever it was, but didn't do any follow-up posts about Charlie Kirk. Nobody in his family posted about Charlie Kirk. You had a front row seat and you watched Charlie Kirk die. And I guess
you wouldn't want to talk
no
about
social
that?
posts about it, wasn't interested, maybe wanted to stay out of it. And then I obviously find out that his dad is the head of, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, president of the Mormon temple in Los Angeles. His name is, this person that was behind the bush is Jacob Kasparian.
There you go.
And then it just kind of becomes like a dark hole.
Where's
trying to figure
Jacob
out
Kasparian
his
at?
father and his father's connections to the Middle East. So I am still working on that. But yes, he as well was wearing a maroon shirt. I think we need to pay attention to
weird
that as we
name.
widen
Jacob
our investigation, because if I was
Kasparian?
the military and
What
the
a
reason we didn't
weird
promote
name.
this
Let me back
event,
that up.
die, and I guess no social posts about it, wasn't interested, maybe wanted to stay out of it. And then I obviously find out that his dad is the head of, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, president of the Mormon temple in Los Angeles. His name is, this person that was behind the bush is Jacob Kasparian. And then it just kind of becomes like a dark hole trying to figure out his father and his father's connections to the Middle East. So I am still working on that. But yes, he as well was wearing a maroon shirt. I think we need to pay attention to that as we widen our investigation, because if I was the military, and the reason we didn't promote this event, and again, we're theorizing here, but the reason we waited to the very last second to put up posters about this event was because you actually did want to control who went there that day. You didn't want a bunch of people driving in from all over to see Charlie Kirk. You wanted to control what videos were going to hit the internet. You controlled everybody who was video recording. I even think, and I'll have to check this, that the people that were live streaming that day had military backgrounds as well. If I wanted to control all of that, and I also wanted to use like civilians to show up, I would make sure they all knew to wear a certain shirt or to wear a certain hat so they knew who they were. That's me. If I'm running a military operation, which I feel like I know, because I do run kind of a toddler military operation, that's a good way to indicate who at Disney World is your family, everybody wearing the same color. So I think we should be clued into that, continue to follow our instincts and to get as much information as we can, because we are getting close.
I think he was shot with a 9mm. That's what a 9mm caliber. I think I know I've seen so many rifles be modded where they can shoot two different calibers, a smaller one and a higher one. So, yeah. That's what I've been saying too, because I hunt, and I was like, there's no way it's that. It seems more like a 9mm.
Getting, radical in these non-debunkings. Yesterday, they were trying to make it a trend that I got pranked by the person who wrote me the email. I told you I had run that up the chain for weeks to make sure everything was legit about that location. And it is 1000% legit, and it caused a lot of panic. And we're getting a lot of phone calls now from people telling us it has caused panic. The Egyptian planes definitively were pulled into Satis, and that person was then escorted for whatever reason. That foreign dignitary was escorted to that facility where they have joint operations going on between the DHS and the DOJ, being the Secret Service, and the FBI and the DEA. None of this is normal. We all sense that none of this is normal, and it very much feels to me like it was a deep state operation. And like I said, they're not going to get away with it. So we're going to take a brief break and throw it to some of our sponsors. All right, you guys.
Yeah,
many
I don't
people
think
have been
she's a
vilified
government
for-
actress. I pulled away from her probably 3 or 4 years ago because I thought that, and yeah, I was wrong, and she's not. And this girl is legitimately brilliant, and anybody that they try to vilify the most, I'm gonna watch the most, because that means they're speaking truth. My brain will tell me if they're crazy. She's not crazy. Plus, you have to have been following this whole thing to really kind of know it the way I know it.
standing up for truth. I think many people have felt the sting of injustice, but we're also feeling tremendously courageous in these times. I'm done playing defense. I've not watered down what I believe to be palatable anymore, because silence is not kindness. It's actually consent. And right now, the greatest silence surrounds the topic of lives that are lost before they even take their first breath.
Oh, we're not supposed to play
We're going
this.
to call ourselves.
Whoopsie, blah, blah, blah. Sorry. We don't want to get in trouble there. Okay, this episode's much faster. So
Candace.
All right.
Okay, so one of the things that is just getting weirder by the
So
day.
the exploding mic theory's been debunked. I thought it would have been like a drone, a small drone, or a nano robot if it wasn't a smaller caliber, much closer. The shooter was not 150 yards away. That's also a lie that they fed us. But yeah, Johnny, I think that's more the direction, that type of a rifle. And it was much, I mean, I don't think it was 150 yards, but it looked further than you'd be comfortable shooting a 9mm pistol. So like a handgun, you would want to be closer than where this bush was, but this bush is like a nice middle ground where I could see like a modded rifle, or maybe one like you're talking about, Johnny, being used. But the shot was just crazy. And like the fact that nobody's questioned the person who was asking the question about trans violence when he got shot, that really bugs me. Because to me, there were just so many omens they put right in our face.
Is the general public having to pretend like the United States is not completely infiltrated by Zionist psychopaths.
The stadium where they had his quote unquote funeral with all the fireworks. I asked that. I was like, how can they get a stadium that size that fast? Because me growing up in a cult, renting stadiums like that for 3-day conventions, I know for a fact that those you have to book out a year out. So I was like, this is fucking planned. This is fucking planned. You cannot have all those pyrotechnics, that size stadium, just booked on a whim. Are you joking?
And it's just getting odd, right? They're going through extraordinary lengths to let us know that they have all the power and they're going to do whatever it is that they
want us to know.
And they're just engaging in naked propaganda to serve the state of Israel. So I'm going to show you a couple of these headlines. I guess let's start with Mike Huckabee. He is the ambassador to Israel.
This piece of shit here.
And apparently is completely shameless. Now, just to go back, in case you missed it back in October,
glad
Mike
she's
Huckabee
she's
and
talking
the
about
former
him. I can't
U.S.
stand that guy.
ambassador to Israel, which was David Friedman, took to the stage in Jerusalem to perform Sweet Home Alabama. And by Sweet Home Alabama, I mean Sweet Home Jerusalem in Hebrew or something. Just watch it and
She's so
challenge,
funny.
no cringing.
What the? Jerusalem. Home to you.
I'm starting to think that Israel wants us to hate them. Like, that's the ultimate psyop. They want us to hate them. I think it's like, it's unbelievable, the factor of cringe. And if that's not humiliating enough, Mike Huckabee just went over to Israel and met.
Mike, I don't think most people would be able to figure this out. You've got to have already gone through trauma, really severe trauma, to keep your wits about you like her and keep your head down and focus on the goal. I've been through really heavy trauma, so it was like, I mean, I definitely felt it, but when you go through trauma, it equips you for another traumatic event to be able to think through it and like kind of stay grounded. But yeah, that fucking song was so bad. And his stupid, what's he playing? Guitar's accord? What is he playing? But you said he was playing, Mike Huckabee was playing a... He's played with the guitarist of Korn.
With Jonathan Pollard. Okay, Jonathan Pollard, if that name's not familiar to you, is a literal convicted Israeli spy. This is the headline. Yeah, there he is. Seems like a good guy.
Oh my gosh. Justin, I wish you were on the first hour and a half. This is about the global elite ring of human trafficking that Israel runs. That's what this is all about.
American who spied for Israel says he met Ambassador Mike Huckabee to thank him for his support
pedophilia.
because he did support him. Jonathan spent 30 years in prison on espionage charges after being found to have pretended to work for the American government, but was actually working to pass documents over to Israel. That's kind of a theme. Our greatest ally. It's just a theme with our greatest ally. And despite being found guilty, despite spending 30 years in prison, people were saying we should be kinder to this guy, and Huckabee was among several pro-Israeli politicians who advocated for Jonathan Pollard to be released. And he, when he was released, was welcomed in Israel. Like the red carpet was rolled out for him, I think, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Bibi Netanyahu met him on the runway. Like, you did, you served us well. And
that's the thing, right? Right, Mike? We're all crazy until we're not. Because people want to reject what's scary. They don't want to believe that our government is really capable of being this bad. So it's easier for them to believe you're crazy than the fact that the people they've placed their trust in are criminals.
American people suffered. So you'd think Mike Huckabee would go, I'm not going to meet with him because that shows that I am an Israel firster. But there is just a level of shamelessness that, I don't know. What was it that Carolyn Levitt said? They asked Carolyn Levitt about this at the White House, and she said, and I quote, "The White House was not aware of that meeting, but the president stands by our ambassador." Well said, Caroline. I mean, she said, I didn't know he was going to meet with a traitor, but we stand by him anyway if he's meeting for a traitor. And the reason we stand by him is because we're all traitors. We are all treasonous. I hate everyone. I hate that this is allowed.
Because you got to realize, though, like on a hit job this big, like they're not going to tell the president. Like, he's going to be left out of the loop. Now, I think Kash Patel was very much in on it. I have turned out to not like Pam Bondi. I wonder what she knows. I am pissed off at Dan Bongino. Like, where the fuck has he been? He talked big talk while he had that podcast. And now what's he doing? What's he doing with the FBI as? Not shit. Protecting the conspiracies, protecting the secrets.
It's fair for us to hate that it's allowed. And we do have a bunch of treasonous spies. Their job, I guess, is to further enslave us to the gang colony in the Middle East that is pretending that they have been ordained by God to murder.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. There's some
John, I don't know if you know the latest news, but Candace Owens has to suspend her show because the death threat that was ordered, the hit that was ordered on her is absolutely real. And now the White House and the FBI is involved with her situation. So now she has to suspend her show, and basically she let everyone know, if you have any questions about my credibility, you can contact the President of the United States and the other agency she listed in her X post. If you have questions, now everything's being directed at POTUS. because I'm assuming now she is going to be protected. Because it's out. That fucking guy that took over Turning Point, not Erica, but the guy, he told her 3 days after it happened that it was supposed to be her that got shot first. But the order was on her, Charlie Tucker. I think Megan was listed as well.
And covering anything is always hilarious.
No, Candace
and
would
he
never.
is covering the
Candace
occupation
is the real deal.
of our media because it's just so in our faces now. It's never been this in our face.
Well,
you know?
guys,
before we get to what he had to say about,
guess what? It's done. Oh, gone. Last vape. All right, y'all. You ready? Now, if I find any spares in my drawer, I'll probably finish those. I'm just being funny. No, but for real. Because if I find any spares, there's probably like 2 or 3 drops left, you know. It might give me a little slight, take the edge off every now and then.
Barry Weiss, I want to remind you that Barry Weiss started and is a part owner, at least, of the Free Press before she went on to CBS
No,
News.
it really is
she
the last one.
Notoriously left.
I just know I probably have like some that are basically empty laying around that I'm sure in a moment of like desperation I'll probably try to take a small hit off of whatever's left, but I'm not buying anymore. I'm done. What in the world?
New York Times and said it was biased and we needed to have something that was in the middle of the line, and she just couldn't get behind all of this COVID propaganda, and she was going to start the Free Press and they were going to go back to doing hardcore, real, non-biased journalism. So what kind of journalism are they doing over at the Free Press? Okay. This is a real email. I'm not being funny. I feel like you're going to think this is SNL. That fluttered into my inbox the other day from a writer. His name is Ashley Reinsberg. And this is the email. I'm just going to read you the email. This is it. It says, "Hi, Candace. I'm reporting a piece for the Free Press on the economics." Ooh, economics. I like economics. This must be straight middle of a line, right? There can't be any bias here. "I'm reporting a piece for the Free Press on the economics of high engagement political content on YouTube and podcast platforms. I'm reaching out for comment regarding several assertions that you've made in recent episodes, including claims about Israel, the death of Charlie Kirk, and the Becoming Brigitte series. I also want to ask about the financial side of your operation because it is central to the story. Here are his 5 questions. 1, since publishing anti-Israel and anti-Jewish claims, have you seen a measurable increase in watch time, subscriber growth, or revenue across YouTube, Rumble, or your podcast feeds? 2, have sponsors and ad partners or platform reps encouraged or pushed back on
what a weird
this shift
thing
in
to
content
ask?
direction? 3, do
Media
you see
inquiry.
any correlation between escalation in claims and the performance metrics that drive your business, retention, average viewer, duration, CPM, RPM, member conversion, etc.? 4, to what extent do you view conspiracy content as an editorial choice versus a business decision? And 5, do you believe your recent content about Israel and Jewish influence is rooted in evidence, or do you see it primarily as commentary? Yeah, no, I'm going to get back to him. Obviously, I have to just pull up, I have to pivot over to that SS tab, the Hitler tab, which shows the metrics of exactly how people are responding to anti-Jewish rhetoric. And we just have to pull that from YouTube because I can see we've done some tests. And obviously the advertisers have been, that's the whole thing. That's the nature of the business, obviously, is that you can only make money. The only people that are successful at all, it's pretty obvious, is because they hate Jews. That's kind of what's implied. Why do we have to pretend this is journalism, right? Are you shocked if I tell you that Ashley Reinsberg, he happens to live in Tel Aviv? Like, you just cannot make it up. Like, just write your articles. Stop pretending that you're a journalist. It's totally fine. Your job is to write hit pieces, to say that you guys are being victimized at all times, forever, since the beginning of time. And it's obviously not anything that you're doing that's causing a reaction. It's not like they're just genociding Palestinians right now. So it's about metrics. It's about the SS tab that's behind the scenes. of YouTube. So I'll get that content. I'll get those metrics over to you, Ash. Looking forward to that.
I feel her,
further
man.
to that
These bitches
comment-
online be coming at me. So I be responding like that. Same style.
And Tim Dillon, who always gets me in trouble. I don't know how he never gets sued. It feels wrong. Like I'm engaged in, I make one slight mention joke about Alexis Wilkins referring to Tim Dillon's content and us getting a strike. And she goes on a rant. Again,
Mike, I don't know. What do you mean? What happened to Megyn Kelly? My 9-month-old daughter wakes up 5 to 7 times a night and then ready to start the day at 5:30. Creatine, yeah, I don't want to like plump up though. Creatine like makes you hold on to water. And yeah, nah, I'm not gonna do creatine. Nah, bruh.
against me, not against Tim Dillon. Okay. I'm speaking about Brigitte and MK Ultra. Brigitte sues me, not Tim Dillon, who she mentions in the lawsuit. So I'm just asking if anybody wants to sue Tim Dillon. That's all I'm saying. Okay, go after him.
Oh yeah,
I'm enjoying his content.
I think
It's his
she's
fault.
trying to lay low because these hits are real. They really are after this circle of people because they're literally breaking the machine.
Here's what he had to say about Barry Weiss's installation, because that's what it was. She's just installed. It's not a meritocracy at the head of CBS News. Take a listen.
Barry Weiss is basically telling people, why don't you pretend I'm not here to destroy this whole thing? Because that's what I'm here to do. I'm not going to pretend that. I'm not pretending that. I don't have the time to pretend that I have not been sent on a mission to destroy this legacy broadcasting institution. I'm here to destroy it. I'm here to make it a vessel of state propaganda.
Jack, be careful with kratom. That stuff is highly addictive, even more so than some street drugs.
Which state? Well, we know which state. It's not America. It's
That's
to be
what
a
I think's
vessel
going to
of
happen,
state
Justin.
propaganda.
I think we're getting
It's
close.
all it's supposed
the Bible
to be.
talks about it.
It's not supposed to be anything else.
Armageddon's
and
coming.
Barry Weiss, to her credit, is not pretending she's there to do anything else. She's going, why are there standards and practices? Why are they showing the Palestinian reach for the cookie when we blow their head off? Why are they doing that? Why are they asking these questions? Why are they saying this? She's very, very much 100% on board. My job is to get rid of any independent voice at CBS. We're here to destroy the network and get rid of anybody that would stand in our way. We are here to deliver state propaganda. That's all. That's what they're there to do. And not the United States, not the United States propaganda, by the way. She is there to deliver Israeli propaganda. She knows it. We know it. Larry Ellison hired her to do it. That's okay. They've already got a blacklist of actors who will never work at Paramount. It doesn't matter. No one cares. Nobody watches any of this crap.
He's exactly right. I don't even understand why we have to go through this process. Like, just write the article, just do the propaganda. You don't have to reach out to us. We all know what's happening. Your job is just naked propaganda to convince us like you're going to be the authority on blackballing certain people, writing hit pieces about them, making sure that they cannot function in this economy. This is the state. They are the state, and they want you to know. And like he said, it is not America. It is not the United States that they are doing this for. I just don't know where this is all going, I guess. Like, are we going to be put back in the gulag? Like, are Christians going back in the gulag? I don't know. But we're certainly going to find out. We're going to take a brief break for our sponsors. And I'm going to get into some of your comments.
Okay. And then there's
okay, you guys, you have heard me speak
that episode. So, yeah, man. You got to watch the beginning of this episode that I started 2 hours ago. For more context. You know, it just makes you feel like there's no hope. I think that's what Sean Ryan's going through right now. He seems like he is really going through it. And I could see why you would be feeling that way so deeply, especially if you were SEAL team, part of the SEAL team. and just like to know the level of dedication that takes and commitment and loyalty and like the shit that they put themselves through. They really have to be in love with their country, and you can just see his world is shattering. And this Charlie Kirk situation is waking a lot of people up. And I wonder when these freaking people will start to realize that it's never going to work. Like, what are they going to do? Like she asked, like, just keep murdering everybody? Like, what's happening is, think about how many Charlies were created the day he died. That they're going to, if they do that to Candace, they're going to do the same thing. Create multiples of them. And like, I think this is all just showing, we're like on the right trajectory as far as the timeline's concerned. And like when Armageddon's might come to fruition, I think we'll be alive. We'll probably be old. But if not us, definitely our grandkids will see Armageddon, I think, for sure. But they've probably been saying that for 500 years. They've probably been saying Armageddon's coming since Jesus died. So we really don't know. But it just, I know that at the end of the, in a lot of the prophecies, the lesser prophets like Isaiah, Daniel, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Hezekiah, they all talk, those books that not a lot of people focus on and read and remember, they talk about the seven world powers of the government and how that timeline and that at the end of the days we would be in the Anglo-Saxon world power, which was the feet of the image in Daniel or Isaiah's prophecy, which was like a mixture of stone and clay, which represents, that's the weakest part of the image, and that we're fractured, and it represents the United Nations and all this stuff. And it says that right before Armageddon comes, the nations will declare peace and security in the Middle East. So we'll see what's going on with Trump in the Middle East. That's a big indicator, on top of what we're seeing happen in the modern day Babylon coming to a fall. I mean, that's what this is. This is the modern day Babylon being exposed, the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah being exposed. And it's going to take us regular citizens on a mass scale just completely becoming non-compliant. And they know that if this information got released to the entire world, that no one would listen to them anymore. Everyone would revolt. So, and I think that's what it is going to take to bring on the new world, which the book of Revelation talks about. What are you doing? It's very distracting. What was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys tonight. It was a good chat. Ezekiel 38. Is that the chapter that talks about the image? Let me go check a Rumble. Rumble had said I was muted. Okay, we're good now. The Riders of the Apocalypse are the Palestinian flag. Oh, I never noticed. Yeah, I have a series on my page where I'm going over the book of Revelation. One thing that drives me crazy is everyone says revelations. It's not plural. It's the book of Revelation. John is talking about one revelation that he had about the end of days. There's no S on the end of Revelation. That's just like a little pet peeve I have. I don't know why I have that pet peeve. Yeah, I think no matter what, we have to start figuring out where we land in personally ourselves. Just think really deep about where you land on the universal hierarchy of morals, because your master will be asking for your help in the coming war. you know, and it's really going to take people being willing to die for stopping all of this wickedness. But the best we can do right now is talk about it, keep awareness up, you know, spread the word. All right. I am going to get on out of here, go have myself a little tussle with Mary Jane before I hit the sack. Maybe I'll get on a live stream with you guys from my phone and we can just chill and smoke, and maybe you guys can do a little Q&A and ask me whatever you want. So if you want to just have a chill hangout sesh, come back in about 10 minutes on my Instagram. I love all of you. Good night. Thanks for the participation. It was stellar. This is what makes my job fun. Good night, all of you.